Welcome. This is Yoga Hiit Fusion for extreme calorie burn. So thank you so much for meeting up with Lizzie Brooks Yoga and Fitness. I really appreciate it. A little bit about this workout and all workouts that involve high intensity interval training or HIIT are that depending on your athleticism, where you are in that journey, you might need more of a recovery or less of a recovery time. So I'm doing an intermediate placement. So if you need to wait and recover a little longer than when I move on to the next exercise, please take a little break, recover a little bit longer. This will change as fitness increases and as your body and heart get more used to this type of exercise. So please know that you can modify, you can take a pause. HIIT doesn't allow us to go back to our normal standardized sort of resting heart rate, and that's the reason why it's such a high calorie burn, not only while you're doing the workout, but after, for hours after the workout, which is phenomenal, this type of workout. Thank you again, and come join me on your mat. Okay, so you can have a couple weights handy if you like. This video is going to be already a very large calorie burn without weights at all. So that's sort of if your fitness level is a little bit higher and you want to add more challenge. You'll be getting plenty of a challenge without weights, so don't worry about that. So go ahead and find a comfortable seat. I'm in hero pose. In yoga known as Virasana on my shins, but if you'd rather sit any other way, do that. Take a deep breath in. Cleanse that out. One more time. Inhale fully. Waking up the lungs and sigh it out. Send the head around in a circle, or maybe just through the midline and to the side. Check in with the jaw. Ooh, there's a yawn in there. And then we'll shake out the shoulders and give the shoulders a few circles back and forward. Let's end on an externally rotated one, so back. And then for the first movements, if you have tender knees and you can't sit in this posture, no problem at all. Just come to seated, and your movement will be waking up the obliques and through the spine and the torso, a little side-to-side movement here. If you can come to your knees, I'll give you a different option. And we're gonna interlace our fingers and rise up a little bit and reach the knuckles to one side and the hips to the other. I'm not gonna drop down, I'm just gonna hover. And then I'm gonna come to center, knuckles to the other side, hips to the other, center. Okay, so here's where we're starting. And we're warming up the body, waking up the muscles, waking up the breath. And if you want to add another element of challenge, when you come to center, take the arms up and swing them over as the hip drops to the side. If it doesn't look exactly like this, who cares? It doesn't matter. I'm sure you're still feeling the work. If you need to let go of the interlacing at any time, let go of the interlacing. Make it your own. 3, 2, and 1. Center on up. So if you were in that seated position, go ahead and come up to your knees. I like to have padding under the knees, so even if you need to pause it and get a towel or a blanket under the knees, go ahead and do that. And we're going to work on stepping up and stepping back. You can use your arms as you like. You might start with your hands at your hips or at your heart. Right foot steps forward. Lean a little bit forward. That's going to transfer your weight there. Step the left foot forward into a wide chair pose. Lead with the right knee down and the left knee down. Now the left side. Left foot forward, lean a little bit forward. Right foot chair. Left knee down, right knee down. Back to the right. Right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right. So continue as it feels right to you. And if you forget which side you're on or which knee was leading, don't worry about it, okay? That's not the main focus. So what we're looking for is a lot of work in the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, and then that heart rate. And when you come up to standing, if you need to make it easier, straighten your legs in the middle. Give it a straight leg position so that you're not staying in that contraction the whole time, and that will decrease the amount of work. If you want a little bit more, bring the arms into it, right? So you can play with what the arms are doing, but anytime you take the arms above the head or you're moving them around, you're gonna need to pump more blood, which is getting the heart rate up. One more. Okay, let's hold in chair. It was really half more. Arms where you want them. 3, 2, 1. Fire legs. Shake it out. We're already in that calorie burn and the heart rate is already way up. Okay, bring your hands down to the mat. Come into a plank pose. Breathing here, tapping right toes out to the right, back to center. Left toes out to the left, back to center. If that's too much, knee to the right, knee to the left, knee to the right, okay? So begin and choose what's right for you, which might be partially doing it in plank and partially doing it from kneeling. Be willing to change it up. Kind of find out where you are today and make changes. So our AC is dying again. I always tend to record high intensity interval training when the AC is dying. 3, 2, 1, and hold plank, breathe. Yeah, so I'm gonna be as red as a tomato. Lower the knees. Let's give it a stretch back into child's pose. This is a yoga fusion after all, which is unlike some HIIT videos, we stretch in between and we refocus on our breath. So give that some time. Place the forearms down, knees beneath the hips, and take a little baby cat-cow where you're rolling in and down, opening the back of the spine, and then rolling forward and up, opening the front of the spine. Just one more. Round it in, hug the core muscles of the front of the torso back, and then open the heart. Come to a neutral spine in your all fours position. We're gonna draw a circle or mix of that of something underneath us. So lift your right knee up towards you, lift even your ankle up towards you, and start to draw a circle. This is sort of back into the obliques and those deep core lines, because if we weren't hiking the knee up, it would kind of fall down. And yes, can you do this on the floor or on the blanket? Absolutely. Now, for those of us who want to kick up and elevate a little bit more the heart rate and the work, you'll turn this into a plank. There are always levels. You can always pause and come back. Reverse your rotation of your circle. And it's not super fast, but it's also not super slow. And the hips aren't bobbing up and down, but rather staying steady. 3, 2, 1. Hold up, hug, hug in, and lower down. This time either a child's pose if you need to get off the wrists, or a downward dog. If you've chosen the downward dog, pedaling out, opening the back of the legs, through the hamstrings, maybe wiggling the hips a little side to side. You can also sway the hips side to side in your child's pose. Lowering the knees down. Other side. Hug the left knee in, even the ankle, and draw your circle. Of course, you can draw that circle closer to the ground or on the ground. It'll make it easier if there's a blanket under you because the knee will slide more. If you want a little bit more, tuck the back toes and come up and do your circle in your planks. And reverse your rotation around, feeling the entire front of the core draw back, organs drawing and pulling up and in towards your spine. And of course, you've got the upper body working, the back leg working differently. 3, 2, 1. Downward dog or child's pose. Breathing in both of those and relaxing the neck. Walk your hands back to your feet. You might have to bend the knees in order to do that. Move your blanket or your towel out of the way. Inhale, rise halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, fold. Choose how you want to rise. Inhale, come up to standing. And exhale, hands to the heart. Deep breath comes in, and wiggle and shake it out. Let it go. And we'll turn towards the long edge of our mat, exiting any creakiness in the neck by just giving some movement there. It is, I think it's like 85 degrees right now. Okay, so from here, come to a mountain pose, and we're about to kick up the heart rate a little bit more. So deep breath in, let it go. Bring the hands to the heart or the waist, and we're going to take little hops out, 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 in, out, 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 in. So I like this one a lot because it works the hips differently than just keeping the same width apart in the feet for the hopping. And we're not hopping so largely that we're landing with a big thud. We're keeping our knees bent. If we want to have strong hips, yoga and this plyometric sort of hopping stuff, so good for us. That is such a beautiful combination. If you just want to do out and in, you can do that. You can add 4 or 5 hops out and in. What feels best for your sacrum and your low back? 3, 2, last one. Pause in your mountain pose, breathe. Come on up to the top of the mat. We'll use a vinyasa as a pretend rest. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold, because it's not as intense. We're still moving. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. So we're keeping the heart rate up, but it's less intense than what you were doing. You can come maybe all the way to the floor, cobra or upward dog. And then careful on your transitions, as always, to downward dog. Let go of any tension around the jaw or the neck. From your downward dog, you can come to the knees and you can do this here. You're gonna start waking up fast twitch muscle fibers in the upper body. You're trying to shake the earth. Shake, shake, shake. Or you can do shaking the earth from downward dog. So it's a tiny little, so go ahead and get started if you haven't. It's a tiny little movement, an elbow bend. It's kind of bending the elbows to the sides and slightly back. You'll really start to feel biceps and triceps here. And of course, a lot of blood going to the head, which is good. We're kind of letting some blood flow go to the brain. Breathing here. Shake it, really push the floor away from you. Push, push, push. Activate those fast twitch muscle fibers in the upper body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Child's pose, reach. And come up to any seated position, pat yourself on the back. Take your other hand to the elbow, reach the elbow up and back, stretch the tricep. Shake that out, and just other side. So this little stretch is your semi-recovery before we go back into the legs. And then shake that out. So on this one, you can take very small steps, but it's just one leg moving, back, forward, and back, okay? You can take much larger movements, so you might kind of change your positioning on your mat. I'm gonna start with the right foot, and I'm stepping that forward and back. Both knees bend. So unlike a yoga lunge kind of here, we're actually bending front knee and back knee. If you want to grab a weight and hold that weight at your chest, absolutely you can do that. So for me, I always feel like when I'm using these movements that it's my standing steady leg, not the more moving one, that is feeling more of the brunt of the work. One more forward, one more back. Chair, if you're holding the weight, hold that. Breathe, don't drop it. Slowly come to standing, lower your weight, and shake that out. Pause for a moment, kind of find a little more midline or middle of your mat. Weight or not, start with smaller distance away from the foot to step. Other leg, left leg. Stepping forward and back. As you get a little more comfortable with it, you can make those bends a little bigger. These are, again, explosive movements in the legs, especially that pushing off in the front. There is a push in the back, but I don't find it as extreme as trying to get back to the back of the mat. I'm putting my hands at my waist. I don't feel like I need a weight today. Whoop. And this is a balance. So make your feet on train tracks rather than a tightrope. If you want to change the arms and kind of do something different with the arms, just like you did before, you have those options. Oh my Lord. My legs are noodles. 3, 2, 1. Chair. If you're holding your weight, keep it here. Straighten the legs, lower the weight. Move the weight to the side if you have it. Put it all the way down, don't drop it. And shake it out. A little bit of a recovery here. So, as promised, we are in an extreme calorie burn. Not only during the workout, but we will still be after, even when our heart rate comes down and we find more homeostasis. Come up to the top of the mat. Stay with it. We can do anything for a short period of time. Inhale, reach up. Not anything, but you know what I mean. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, take it through your vinyasa, active recovery. If you need a little more passive recovery, go to child's pose or downward dog or seated. Any movement that's necessary for you to get into your body and feel a good stretch. It's all available to you, always. Okay, quick child's pose, lengthen your spine. I recommend opening the knees on this one if your low back feels okay, so we're getting a groin stretch. Inhale fully, and exhale. Rising back to your plank pose, and then let's create a forearm side plank. You get to choose which side. I'll go ahead and mirror you guys, so if you want to do the left side, then you'll be kind of in line with me. Engage your ankles and stack or stagger your feet, one leg on top, one leg behind. People have different preferences. I'm not going to be picky about that. Root down into the palm, the forearm, and the elbow. Lift up. Little baby pulses up and down. So again, we're kind of really targeting those obliques instead of just that surface core, and there's internal obliques and external obliques. Top arm might come up, and if you want a little more calorie burn, let the arm get involved. As you reach your hips up, reach away with your arm overhead and over your ear. As the hips lower, reach towards your feet. So we are picking up the speed here. If that's too much, slow it down or lower the knee below. And just do it here, lowering the shin below and the knee, totally fine. 2, 1, full forearm plank, just for a moment. I'm not a monster. And child's pose, unfurl your mat. Rise up to all fours. Cat-cow on the hands this time. Inhale, roll the hips up, heart up. Exhale, round the spine, drape the tail, open the back. Inhale, neutral, and take a big sigh. Well, let's go ahead and do the other side. We got that heart rate kicked up. Those calories are getting sizzled. So, here we go. Forearm down. Make sure your hand and your elbow are on the same height, so rather than kind of down. I mean, a little bit is okay, but I wouldn't want one to be on the blanket and the other down if you were using a blanket. Stacked or staggered feet. Staggered is easier for most people. Rise up. Hand starts on the hip, and you're doing your pulses. And this pulse could be teeny tiny. It could be 1 inch up or down. It could be larger. Maybe you'll bring that waving long arm up and over. Howdy, neighbor. just a regular day, you know, just do this all the time. Everybody's doing it. If they want a massive calorie burn and a lot of tone through the side body, you can always lower that lower shin and knee down. In fact, that feels really good for me to take that break. Feel free to join me. All right, 2 and 1. Forearm plank. Heels up, tuck your toes. 3, 2, 1. Child's pose. If you would rather have a vinyasa in between, chaturanga, up dog, down dog, maybe a cobra instead of upward dog, then please take that. Take your time rising up to standing and maybe use that same technique that we used earlier, which would be step, step, up. Kneeling, step, step, up. All right, that's getting up off the ground without your hands, which is a really good thing to learn how to do to keep our hips healthy, great for balance, all of that stuff. All right, so from here, we're gonna work with that sideways movement a little bit. So bring your hands to your waist, step to the side. So instead of kind of turning out and stepping, I want you to really work the side of the hip by stepping out, bending the knee, stepping in. Stand, step out, land, bend the knee, step in. We'll just go to the other side, okay? Step out, land, bend, and step in. Stand, step out, land, bend, and step in. Okay, so we're just gonna do that one more time. This is the slower movement. Stand up, take it to the side, and shift, step in, stand. Side, land, bend, shift the other foot in. Just that direction. Out, bend, and step in. Stand, out, land, bend, and step in. Come to stand. So that was just to get a little more of those external rotators in the hips. And now we're gonna do our bunny hops to the side. We will have an option in a moment to switch directions. If you have any vertigo or balance issues, you're not gonna switch directions. All right, so be a little bunny. And however you wanna do the hands. Hop, 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 hop. All right, so we're coming to the side. So these type of movements are, again, small hops, but we're moving in a direction that even when we are hopping, the few times during our daily lives that we hop, which is like never, hopping to the side is much different for your brain and for what muscles have to work to create that sideways motion. So we're creating new neural pathways, which I'm a giant fan of. All right, now you can continue with that, or you're going to switch. You're going to hop the other direction, forward, back, forward, okay? You can spin back or forward, whichever one you want. Back, forward, back, forward. So I might go backwards first, or I might go forwards first. Totally up to you. But we are switching and rotating in the air. Or you're staying with your sideways hop. One more time, each direction. Whew. Mountain pose, breathe. My goal is not to make you look cool. It's to, after the workout is over, make you feel cool. And by cool, I mean just be better. Breathing. We're doing a recovery a little longer than some of the others because that movement was just so much more intense than some of the others. Find your heart rate. Recognize that it's your decisions, your choices that kick this heart rate up, and just prove to you that your heart is capable of this beautiful work, taking care of you, giving you fresh blood to those muscle groups. And we are gonna move into our final standing part of this workout. Yes, okay. So come to the midline here, and we're gonna cross behind the midline for a bit of a skater. Love these for the brain too. And the transition of the way the hip has to work, and we're crossing the midline behind us. So I can just start in the middle, step behind, I can reach away from that back foot, and this could be my movement. Just this low in the hips and just this slow with the movement. Or I can add a little bit more work in the hip by dropping my hand down towards the inside of my other foot. So if my, it's opposite leg to opposite hand, okay? And then I might work there. If you're at the right level, stay. If you want more, this becomes more of that plyometric movement with your hops. And if you want a heck of a lot more, you make the jump in between much bigger, and you're working those sideways hip movements that we prepped for earlier. Working the sides of the glutes. And if you really want to burn out, this is the last standing thing that we'll do. This is the last of the standing high intensity movements. Then really kick it up. 2, 1, and done. That was kind of 1.5. I'm cheating. Breathe. Option to come down onto the mat, however it feels right. Or if you want to try no hands, some people like to cross their feet and lower that way. So it would look like this. Okay, some people like to go wide with their knees or their feet and come down like that. Some people like to go close with the knees. I can't do that. And some people will just use their hands to come down. Take a moment in a seated position. Ground yourself. We'll move into some core. So I didn't do a whole lot with my weights because in speaking, I was already working hard enough and out of breath for the microphone. I don't know if you did. This is another option for weights. And we are going to take this side to side back into those obliques. That kind of was a theme today. If you know that bothers your back, then do something more straight on that straight forward plane, back and forward rather than twisting, and don't add weight if you have back issues. If you're okay, you'll start with the feet down, or at least the heels down, and you'll take a little row your weight gently down the mat, and we'll take this side to side. Now, you can sit up tall and do this here. You can lean back and do it here, but don't collapse and do it here. Keep the paraspinal muscles supporting right along the sides of the spine. And if you want a lot more work, you'll take this into a half boat, breathing here, side to side. The knees can go more side to side, or you can try to keep them a little more stable and let the torso do the movement. So play with how that feels. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit up tall. If you have a weight, reach it up above you. If you don't have a weight, reach your arms above you. Working the back if you have that weight, or just more reaching and stretching and elongating if you don't. Breathe here. And taking that weight down. Moving it off to the side if you're using it. We'll use a little bit of a core work to round down this time. So do round one vertebra at a time onto the mat. Make sure the knees aren't splaying out. Wake up the inner thighs just a bit. And then take a full body stretch. Wiggle it out. Hug the knees back in. Ooh. Yes, so I will be calling the air conditioning people tomorrow. Today is a Sunday where I'm recording right now, so I will be calling them again tomorrow. Right knee in, left leg extends, hug in. Find an opposition from pulling the right knee in and extending the left leg. Pressing on the ascending colon, really good for elimination, detoxification. Other side, left knee in, really reaching those opposites, left knee in, right leg away. Press through the heel, spread out the toes. Descending colon gets the pressure here. Also, it's a hip opener. Hug both knees in, go wide with the knees, hands to the kneecaps, and maybe just open a little bit, one knee and the other, forward and back. Or you can come to Baddha Konasana, grasping the outer sides of the feet, maybe rocking side to side, happy baby pose with or without a rock, opening through the groin and the hips. And then your favorite twist. Feel free to cross one knee over the other. And again, so I'm gonna do my right knee over my left, and you can go either direction with this, with the twist. You can play with which one feels better. If you can't easily cross this way, choose a different twist. Maybe just stack one knee on the other. Unfurling the opposite arm, palm up. And just being witness to the slowing down of the heart rate and the breathing. Whichever twist you're taking, other side, if you were crossing like me, cross the left leg on top. I'm moving the knees to the right and coming over. But again, you can twist either direction depending on what feels best for you, because both of those, going right or left with this, they're both postures. And you can invent yoga poses. It's hard to because so many exist, but if it feels right and you feel safe and you feel better when you do it, that's a good yoga posture. Come back through center and set up for final relaxation pose, whatever feels good. Maybe rolling a blanket beneath the knees, as much support as you can give yourself. You can always find your breath or meditate laying down or sitting up. So don't let anyone ever tell you that it's not real meditation because you're not in a seated pose. It's real meditation if you want to take meditation that way, okay? It's more about what you're focusing on up here than the shape of the body, what the shape is making, or what the body's shape is making. You know what I mean. So find a real sweet space for yourself in your heart. Maybe you did every movement today. Maybe you only did half of it or less, or somewhere in between. It doesn't matter. Did you wake up your heart? Did you wake up your breath and your body? Primo, you did it, okay? You did it. Take the time for your rest, for gratitude for what the body can do, even if it's not all of it. I'm 41 now. My body can't do the same things that I did in my teens and 20s. All right, what can we do? Focus on that. Bring the hands together to the heart if you are ready to complete the video. If not, stay resting. Thank you so much for joining me, for trusting me with your fitness. Please do subscribe. I'll trade you these free videos for subscribes. Please tell your friends. I'm working so hard. You have no idea the things that have gone wrong, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I hope to see you again. Namaste.